And you can't say what you say about me because you're not better than me. You're not better than me at basketball. You're not better than me at life.
Hey, man, I never punched down. Draymond's a good player. We're not on the same level.
Take this as my apology. I do apologize if that's viewed as public disrespect, because I like to address public things publicly.
Here is the rewritten version of your first part, tailored for a natural and engaging AI voiceover. Draymond Green has 4 NBA rings. Charles Barkley has 0. Case closed, right? That was supposed to be the end of the debate. It was the ultimate shield for Draymond. Anytime someone questioned his greatness, he could just point to the rings. For championships against a Hall of Famer with none. The math was supposed to do all the talking, but it did the exact opposite. A few weeks ago, Draymond was sitting right next to Chuck on Inside the NBA. He cracked a joke about Chuck's old playing days, and the whole studio just went dead quiet. No laughs. No reactions. Nobody jumped in to save him, not even Ernie Johnson. Then, 9 days later on his own podcast, he did something nobody expected. It all wrapped up with him saying this, so if that's the case, take this as my apology. Ready for the next part? Send it whenever you are ready.
I do apologize if that's viewed as public disrespect, because I like to address public things publicly.
Here is the rewritten version of this part, keeping it punchy and perfect for an AI voiceover. Think about it. A 4-time NBA champ apologizing to a Hall of Famer over a joke he still thinks is funny. The wild 20 minutes before he actually said those words? That is exactly what this video is about. He brought in a witness. He even called his mom. He proudly claimed that Charles Barkley was not beating him at life. And then he finally admitted Chuck was right. All 4 of those rings from the Warriors dynasty, 2015, 2017, 2018, and 2022, could not save him from just one single sentence. We are not on the same level. Just watch how he kicks off the episode. No warm-up. No basic intro. He dives straight into it.
There's this large media storm, whatever you call it, thing going on around my comments to Chuck when I was on Inside the NBA about him being in a Houston Rockets uniform. And I think I want to provide a little bit of clarity and of what I was saying.
Here is the rewritten version of this part, keeping it natural and highly engaging for your AI voiceover. He stumbles over the word storm 3 whole times. It is like he can't even grasp the massive size of the mess he is dealing with. And the very first thing he does to try and make sense of it all? He brings in a witness.
I actually talked to Kenny. Kenny called me and he said, man, I didn't hear you say you when you were talking about the Rockets. He said, so I didn't catch the punchline of the joke. He said, if I caught the punchline of the joke, I thought that was
Here is the rewritten version of this part, keeping the flow natural and engaging for your AI voiceover. Kenny didn't laugh live on the show. Why? Because he didn't even hear the joke. He had to go back, listen to the tape later by himself, and then call Draymond just to laugh about it over the phone. Private phone call. From a co-host. Days after the whole thing actually happened. That is what Draymond is trying to use as his big proof. And right after that, he drops this line.
Yes.
I was like, well, in the moment, I thought it was a joke. I thought it was funny. But nobody reacted.
Here is the rewritten version of this part, keeping it punchy and perfect for your AI voiceover. Nobody even reacted. The Inside the NBA crew has been laughing together for 25 years. But this time, not a single person moved. He admitted it right out of his own mouth. And then, he actually tries to explain why the joke was supposed to work.
The reason that I would even say that, right? Like, it'd be very stupid to be like, Chuck, when you were in Phoenix, I wouldn't want to look like that. Or, your first couple years in Houston, I wouldn't want to look like that. That'd be stupid, actually. However, what Chuck makes fun about in his career is actually the last 2 years in Houston.
Here is the rewritten version of this part, keeping it natural, punchy, and highly engaging for your AI voiceover. His whole defense? He says the joke was totally fair game. Why? 'Cause Chuck makes fun of those exact years all the time. Draymond points out that Chuck is always joking about his final 2 seasons in Houston. So, in his mind, he was just playing along.
I sucked, man. I was out of shape. I was hurt. I sucked. But I was going to get that free money. That's what he says.
Here is the rewritten version of this part, keeping it smooth and punchy for your AI voiceover. Chuck is allowed to make fun of himself. You earn that right after 25 years of cracking jokes at your own expense on the biggest basketball show on TV. But when Draymond tried to use that exact same joke, that is the part he really has to explain. 'Cause nobody on that desk backed him up. Nobody even cracked a smile. So what does he do? He completely switches gears. He stops trying to defend the joke and starts attacking the fans watching at home.
So what I found interesting was how everybody tried to make it like this whole, oh man, Draymond think he better than Chuck thing. I found that interesting because what it shows is how bad y'all want me to do bad.
Here is the rewritten version of this part, keeping it smooth and punchy for your AI voiceover. So now, suddenly, the audience is the problem. It is not the joke. It is not the room that went completely silent. It is the fans. That is already the third excuse he has given in under 4 minutes. But then he drops the line. The one quote that sets the whole podcast on fire. The exact sentence that this entire video keeps coming back to.
And Chuck, and you can't say what you say about me because you're not better than me. You're not better than me at basketball.
Here is the rewritten version of this part, keeping it punchy, conversational, and perfect for your AI voiceover. You are not better than me at life. Just listen to the new rule he just invented. If you are not doing better than him, you are not allowed to speak. Not about basketball. Not about life. That is the wall he is building around himself right there in real time, sitting in his own chair on his own podcast. And guess what? He is not done. He actually doubles down.
How dare him talk about Chuck? He ain't better. Well, then you can't talk about me because you're not better.
Here is the rewritten version of this part, keeping the tension high and the words punchy for your AI voiceover. Critics. Fans. The guys on TV. People leaving comments. Literally everyone. If you are not better than him at basketball and you are not better than him at life, you do not get to speak on his name. That is the new rule he just dropped right in front of his own fans. But keep that rule in the back of your mind. Remember it. Because in less than 10 minutes, he is going to completely break it himself.
Charles Barkley's incredible. Had a great career and is one of the media personalities.
Just 60 seconds ago, Draymond was building a massive wall around himself. His strict rule? If you aren't doing better than him at basketball or in life, keep your mouth shut. But now, suddenly Charles Barkley is incredible. He had an amazing career. He is one of the top media guys of his time. Do you see what he is doing? Compliments are just there to soften the blow. He is buttering Chuck up, using it as the perfect cover to take one last sneaky shot.
I've seen him say things about Steph Curry. His career ain't better than Steph Curry's. I've seen him say things about LeBron James. His career is not better than LeBron James.
Here is the rewritten version of this part, keeping the drama high and the pacing perfect for your AI voiceover. Just look at who he brings up to make his point. Steph Curry. LeBron James. He isn't comparing Chuck's career to his own. He is measuring Chuck against two of the absolute greatest to ever play the game. And just when you think the whole thing can't get any crazier, suddenly his mom enters the story.
I FaceTime my mom and flip the camera. My mom's favorite 3 players are Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, Isaiah Thomas. Favorite three players in her life.
Why did he call his mom? Because she was watching the show live. She was texting him, totally worried that he and Chuck had real beef. His brilliant fix? He hands the phone straight to Charles Barkley. Here is the crazy part. Chuck is literally one of his mom's top 3 favorite players of all time. Let that sink in. Draymond took a shot at his own mother's hero on national TV. And Chuck, the guy he just insulted, had to be the one to calm her down over the phone. Through all that chaos, Draymond finally plays the very last card he has left.
4 times I haven't lost, and I know what that feels like. So I'm not upset about that.
Here is the rewritten version of this part, keeping the tension high and perfectly paced for an AI voiceover. 4 rings. That is the massive wall he has been hiding behind this entire time. That one number is supposed to shut down every single argument against anyone who has less. It is his ultimate mic drop. But then, on that exact same podcast, he goes and says this.
Like, I'm not an MVP of the NBA. Like Charles, I'm not an MVP of the NBA. Like Karl Malone.
He is finally saying it out loud. He is actually admitting what he is not. The exact same guy who just claimed Charles Barkley wasn't better than him? Now, he is putting himself right in the group of players who fell short. The guys who never reached Chuck's level and never touched that 1993 NBA MVP award.
I'm not a 12-time All-Star like Charles Barkley, an MVP.
Here is the rewritten version of this part, keeping it punchy, conversational, and perfect for your AI voiceover. 1 MVP award. 11 All-Star games. A Hall of Fame plaque hanging on the wall since 2006. And Draymond? 0 MVPs. Just 4 All-Star games. That list he just read out loud? That is exactly what Charles Barkley has and what Draymond does not. Suddenly, that bold claim about Chuck not being better at basketball doesn't hold up. And Draymond is the one who just provided all the proof. And then the big moment happens. Peak of the entire podcast. He actually reads Chuck's words out loud. Right there on his very own show.
Never punched down. Draymond's a good player. We're not on the same level. Yeah, I'm not an NBA MVP. I'm not at all.
Here is the rewritten version of this part, keeping it highly engaging and perfectly paced for your AI voiceover. Just 6 words. We are not on the same level. That is exactly what Charles Barkley said about Draymond. He said it on a totally different show, to a totally different audience. Draymond didn't have to repeat those words. He could have completely ignored the whole thing. He could have just laughed it off, pointed right back to his 4 rings and moved on. But he didn't. He repeated it out loud anyway. And then he actually responds to it.
But I hope to walk in the Hall of Fame. And if I do that, if I'm lucky enough to do that, fingers crossed, hopefully I will be, then that would stamp us on the same level. So he's right.
So he is right. I am not there. Just let those words sink in. Now match them up against the strict rule he made just 10 minutes ago on this exact same episode. Remember? If you aren't better than him, you keep your mouth shut. But now? He is flat out admitting that Charles Barkley is on a level he hasn't even reached yet. A level that depends on a Hall of Fame vote that hasn't even happened for him. Fingers crossed. Hopefully. Those are 2 words a guy with 4 rings should never have to use when talking about catching up to a guy with 0. By his very own rule from minute 4, Draymond just disqualified himself from even talking about Chuck. The backpedal is completely finished. And that big apology you have been waiting for? It is up next. He sets the whole thing up so carefully. And he starts it all off with one specific word: accountability.
I am also a man of accountability, and in telling a joke, the way it was received, I don't think it should have been received that way, but it was, and the facts, it is.
And then, for the very first time, he finally brings out the word public.
If it's received the way I see it being received, I am not too big to say, yo, if that was viewed as disrespect publicly, I can say.
He doesn't just say it once. He repeats it 3 more times in less than a single minute.
But if in fact it's viewed as public disrespect, I can publicly apologize because the disrespect ain't the intent. So if that's the way it's viewed as public disrespect, I can gladly public apologize.
The word sorry. The word apology. Repeating the phrase public disrespect 3 straight times. But here is the crazy part that nobody really wants to talk about. Chuck never even asked for any of this. He didn't demand a single thing. He just went on 2 different shows, said exactly what was on his mind, and that was it. He just sat back and let that dead silence on the inside the NBA set do all the heavy lifting for him.
Hey, man, I never punched down. Draymond's a good player. We're not on the same level.
Just 5 little words at the very end. That is all it took to shut down the whole conversation before it even had a chance to start. And right after that, he went straight on the Dan Patrick Show.
Well, number one, I don't ever take anything. You can never take personal shots at guys. You know, I've said that in my 26 years.
26 straight years on television. And in all that time, he never took a single personal shot. Not even once. That is the exact standard Draymond walked into.
Last time you had me on the show, I told you I regretted those Rocket years, especially the last 2, which I sucked as a player. But I wouldn't turn down no.
Chuck makes fun of Chuck. That is just how it goes. But what he won't do, he won't let anyone else use his own jokes against him on live TV. And that leads right to Chuck's biggest problem with Draymond. He basically says, if Draymond really wants to make it on TV, he needs to find a sense of humor. Fast. 'Cause right now, he takes every single thing way too personally. Just listen to how Chuck breaks the whole thing down. Pay close attention to what he didn't say. He never called Draymond untalented. He never called him a fake.
A fraud. Chuck called him sensitive.
He took a personal shot at me, but I'm not sensitive. But yeah, it's been over in Golden State. I mean, if Golden State was relevant, he wouldn't be in the studio.
And there is the math. Golden State has been getting knocked out early lately. That is exactly why Draymond was even sitting in that studio. He didn't earn that seat at the desk. He was only there because his team was sitting at home. Chuck didn't even raise his voice. He just pointed out the facts. He laid out the resumes, did the playoff math, and boom. The room just went completely silent on its own. Just look at the tape. Minute 4 of his podcast, Draymond made his big rule. If you aren't doing better at basketball and better at life, you don't get to talk. But by minute 16 of that exact same episode, he admits Charles Barkley is right and that he just isn't on that level yet. Those 4 rings didn't stop that awkward silence on live TV. Those 4 rings didn't stop his own mom from texting him, worried about a beef. And those 4 rings didn't stop him from listing Chuck's MVP, his All-Star games, and his Hall of Fame plaque out loud. All in the very same hour he claimed to be the better man. The end of the day, Draymond did the math himself. And he actually used the word sorry. Nobody reacted to his joke on Inside the NBA. So, he reacted to it himself. 420 straight minutes. All on tape. If you think Charles Barkley still carries more weight in this league than 4 rings, hit that like button right now. But if you think Draymond was right and everyone just blew this way out of proportion, drop a comment and let us know why. And hey, make sure to subscribe if you want the full breakdown of every legend versus modern player feud the second it happens.